Hello. It is Angel once again coming to you today. I am hoping that you are enjoying your day. I have been so blessed and thankful just to be able to wake up. You know, we take things so lightly. So I'm just thankful to be able to wake up, open my eyes. The two gifts that God has given me was the eyes that opened this morning. And I'm thankful for my family and thankful for our health and our strength and everything that works in our body that is working well. I'm truly thankful and I'm grateful, and I'm thankful that God supplies all of my needs. I just want to come to you today with some encouragement. On my last video, if you watched my last video, it was a topic of who am I? Who am I? And I want to kind of really talk about that topic right now, because that is a topic that has been on my heart. And it's the topic that, and I have to talk real with you. I have to talk from a place from my heart where I'm at a place where God has allowed me to be healed, to be able to come forth and talk to you about what a wreck I was. I was a wreck, okay? And I have to share how God has helped me, because of the fact that there are many people that are out there that need to know, how could God help me? If God can help you, well, how can he help me? And as I write my book, and I'm writing a book right now, I can't help but talk about this subject, because I have to talk about a place as to where it started. And being a broken woman, let me just say, being a broken kid, a broken little girl, you know, I was a little girl, I was a little kid, and I was a broken child growing up in a semi-Christian home. One of my parents was in the church, one wasn't. Okay? I won't go into details, but I'm just going to say that their separation, it affected me. And let me just say that when that divorce between my parents happened, and I'm going to be very personal. I have to be personal, because the only way I can be personal is that's my truth. I have to come to you in truth, and I have to be genuine. And I'm at a place that God has allowed me to have the courage and confidence to be transparent, and it has to be relevant to God, because I'm not going to tell you something that has never happened. I'm not going to sit up here and get on this video and talk about my personal situation for no reason. It is for a reason to help somebody out there who is struggling with who they are, with their self-worth, with a lack of self-esteem, a lack of confidence, of not being worthy, not feeling worthy, feeling rejected, you know, coming from a really hard place. And I know I've spoke on this many times in my videos in the past. I've spoke on this, okay? And I'm gonna say this, it wasn't just from my father not being in my life. That's where it started as a child, when he and my mother divorced. You know, that's where the hurt started, because of the fact that the scars were there because of due to disappointment, due to having that desire of wishing and wanting my dad to be around, you know, wanting him to give me the affirmation of love, of letting me know that I love you. You are beautiful. I didn't think I was a beautiful person growing up. I really suffered that. You know, I suffered as far as knowing who I am. I knew I was a little girl. I've always known that. It was just the fact that, why am I here, God? Why did I have to suffer the things I suffered in the house? And it's in my book of the tormenting things that I suffered, which you'll get a chance to read that when you order my book that will be coming out soon. But very, very tormenting experiences. tormenting experience. When I say tormenting experience, which planted a spirit of fear in me. Okay, it was a seed of fear and torment that haunted me as a little child. And I'm not going to go into details of how and when and what it was that tormented me. That's something you'll find out. But as I got older, I had to deal with more problems that escalated, and that was the problems of me not having my father around. Okay, and when he wasn't around, I needed him so badly. I needed him so bad. We stayed in the same town, and I didn't get a chance to see him like I wanted to. We may have seen each other here and there. There were times my father, and I want to be clear on this. I honor my mother and my father. I'm going to be straight, and I'm going to let you know, I love my mother and my father. I will never put out here on YouTube anything that will disrespect or dishonor my mother and my father. I'm gonna be very clear right now, okay? And whatever I talk about, it was me, my pain. It has nothing to do with knocking and putting blame on my father or my mother. I'm gonna make that very clear. But first and foremost, getting back to where I was, my father many times had promised that he would come and pick, me and my sibling up. Many weekends we would pack our bags. He didn't show up. We would actually wait a whole weekend by the window, wondering when that car was going to pull up, wondering when he was going to pull up, and waiting there the whole time, hoping that this man would pull up, and he never showed up. We were hurt. And when he did come and pick us up, we didn't spend time with him then. We didn't even get a chance to really spend time and talk with him. And I'm saying all this to say something. Okay? That created something in me. And that at that time was a vital age. Let's say around between the age of 10 and 12. That was a vital time in my life. Okay? Vital time. And that put a spirit of rejection. That made me feel rejected by the first man that I could ever love. That I got a chance to spend a little bit of time with him. I do recall memories of a few times I've spent with him. Those moments are still sketched in my brain because those are the moments that meant the most to me. Simple stuff like flying a kite. Simple stuff like Christmas experiences of opening up a present. Simple stuff like getting my new little motorcycle when I was about 4 or 5 years old. Little things like that showed a sense of love, that showed a sense of care, that allowed me to experience a father's love. And when you lose that, you realize you have lost something. When you have had your father in your life and you no longer have him, that's a loss. But if you've never had your father in your life, not one day in your life, you will never know what it feels like to have a father's love, because you never experienced it. You don't know anything unless you lose it. You don't know what you've had unless you've had that experience. But I had a little bit of experience as a little girl, and I wanted that father's love. And my mother was there for me, but my mother could not replace my father. And I'm gonna say it again. And I know a lot of you all are gonna agree, but a mother cannot be a father and a mother too. I'm sorry. There's some things that a father can say to a son that a mother can't say to a son. There's some things that a mother can say to a daughter that a father can't say to a daughter. And there is a special dynamic of fathers and daughters. And I can only speak on that perspective of fathers and daughters because I'm a woman and I was a little girl and I know what I experienced. But let me just say this. I said all that to say this. These things that started and developed in me as a child and as a young girl were was pain that never got healed. Let me just stay right there. It never got healed. I never received any healing for that. I went to church, but I never got healed for that. I never got healed for that. I never even expressed that as a pain. I normalized that pain, and I made it become a part of who I was, but I buried that pain. And there's a lot of y'all out there doing the same thing. You have had some issues from your past, and it may not have been with your father, and it may have not been the same situation I've been in, but you have buried that pain, and it has caused scars and bruises to your emotional, mental, and spiritual being, where it has caused toxics to get inside of you. It has tainted your spirit. It has caused baggage. Okay? And you never knew how to heal from it, because you never really knew how to heal from it, because you never talked about it and didn't want to talk about it. And so let me get back to myself. As I was getting older and growing up as a teenager, I felt more rejection. Going through relationships, dating, as I got old enough to date, I felt rejected even in school, even by peers growing up. I felt rejection. Okay, I felt like I wasn't good enough. I didn't feel like I had friends. I didn't feel like I had people that really was by my side, that really was for me. You know, and I'm not trying to throw a pity party or something. I'm just making a point right now. I'm making a point because it was repeated behavior. It was repeated cycles of pain that it seemed like it never stopped. Okay, and then as I got old enough in my late teens, early 20s, I began to date young men, and I experienced so much infidelity. So many cheating men, okay? So much of that. And it was to the point where, I'm like, well, if I dealt with this before and I saw how I was rejected by my father, and I'm dealing with young guys who have cheated on me and showed me that I couldn't trust them, and I've opened my heart to these guys, and I was looking in love in the wrong places, okay, then I had created walls. I created walls where I didn't want anybody to come around me. I isolated myself from people. I isolated myself, and I ended up creating depression. I went through deep depression that I never got any healing, never got healed from that. And I had never got healed from depression. But yet, there's another thing I suppressed. I suppressed all the pain from my childhood, all the pain from my teenage years, and all the pain from my young adult life. And as I moved forward in my life, I knew God. I knew that God was my protector. I had a sense of a spirituality of knowing who God was, simply because I grew up in the church. But here's the thing, I didn't have a personal relationship with God to even believe that He could even heal me. I didn't even believe that you can get healed emotionally. I thought you could only get healed physically. I didn't know anything about mental and emotional healing. I just didn't know. I just felt like I had to deal with it. And I dealt with it the best that I could. But yet it left me full of bitterness. It left me full of resentment. It left me full of unforgiveness. Okay? Anxieties. Fear. I can name a whole list of things, of baggage that I planted. I planted and I buried it so deep down inside that the weight that I carried became normal weight to me. It became normal weight. and of what I've gone through as a kid growing up. I talked a little bit about it in the last video about how I suffered as a child growing up in my teenage years and in my adult years. And let me say, what you have not healed from, you will carry that into, marriage. You will carry that into motherhood. You will carry that into, life. Wherever you have to go through in life, trust me, if you have not healed from the things from the past, you will carry those things with you. It is still lying dormant, ready to come out. And let me tell you, those baggages and scars and bruises of life that I thought that I had healed from, when I got married and started having children, I thought, you know what I thought? I thought I had escaped. I felt that I was healed. I felt that I had finally survived my past. Okay? I was over it. It was done. I'm like, well, God, you healed me and I didn't even know it. But come to find out, no, I wasn't healed. I still had junk in my trunk. Let me tell you, I still had some junk in my trunk. I still dealt with the issues of not being healed. And my book will go through the details of it. I was really suffering with trust issues in my marriage. I was suffering with, not really knowing who I was. I knew I was a mother. I knew I was a wife. I was I was working 8-hour jobs. I even had some side gigs, side things that I would do to make money. I've always, and I have to say there's a lot of different skills and talents that I use too, that I can make money to do. But the thing about it is, even though I was a very skillful and talented person, and I still am, I have to say that, I still had issues. And I had issues with myself. I did not have self-love. I didn't love myself enough. And no matter how many times my husband told me he loved me, no matter how many times people gave me that, Angel, you are such a good person, or this is good, or something good about you, that was a compliment that gave me honor. If I didn't believe it, it wasn't enough. And can nobody give you enough I love yous? And can nobody give you enough job well done's to satisfy a void that will never be filled? If you don't believe in yourself, and if you don't believe that you're good enough, and if you don't have any self-love, and if you don't have any affirmation or worth, then you will not be made whole, and you will cause havoc in your marriage, in your life period. If you can't find God, and you can't find how God is the purpose, is the center of your life. He is your creator. You have to understand, God created you. So he created you with a purpose. Why are you living here? Why did he create you in the first place? Think about it. Why did he make you in the first place? He didn't just make you and say it was good. He made you with some more things, with purpose, with gifts. And we sit back and we're sad about life. We're sad because we're not making enough money. We're sad because we don't have a husband or wife to be our companion. We're sad because we feel that we need the things of life and the materials of life to make us happy. We're sad because we think we need these particular cars. We need these particular houses. We need a certain man. We need a certain woman to validate who we are. And these things on this earth does not validate us, and these positions don't validate you. I don't care what title you are, what you have. I don't care if you are a CEO from whatever company. I don't care if you're a president or a vice president of a bank. I don't care whatever huge title you have with some corporation, whatever you are, whatever company you own. If you're not whole and complete within yourself, or if you keep lying to yourself, telling yourself that, oh, I'm whole, I'm solid, I'm good, I'm good. Knowing that you got issues, if you're not being real with yourself, you will never get healed. You have to acknowledge to the fact that you need help. You have to acknowledge those things and know and ask God, Lord, I can't help myself, but in the areas that I can't help myself, I need you to help me, God. I need you to help me in that area because I can't help myself. And I said, Lord, I can't help myself with this unforgiveness that I still have. I can't help myself, God, with these anxieties and the fear that is trapped up in me. I can't help myself, God, with all of these insecurities that have built up from years. I can't help myself with these trust issues. I can't help myself. I need you to help me, God. But one thing about it, God will, when God heals you, and when you surrender your life to Him, and when you acknowledge God, know that the word says, acknowledge Him and He shall direct thy paths. Think about it. Acknowledge Him and He shall direct thy paths. Meaning that when you surrender to God, when you give your all to Him, guess what? He will direct thy paths, but He will also give you and allow revelation to come. He will give, when you position yourself and you align yourself with God through prayer, through fasting, through and being consistent and being dedicated to God and being grounded and saying, I'm going to do this. I gotta give this up and I gotta give that up because I'm serious. Because when you're serious, you give some things up. There's some things you have to give up when you're serious. And when you start giving those things up to God, then God is starting to look at you and say, I'm going to have to work. I'm going to work with her. I'm going to work with him. I'm going to show him who I am so that I can show them who they are. And God will show you who you are through him. Because guess what? He's the one who created you. He made you fearfully and wonderfully made with a purpose. The word says many are called, but few are chosen. But we all have a purpose. We all have a gift. Think about it this way. Let's think about some celebrities right now. Let's think about Michael Jackson. Let's think about Whitney Houston. Let's think about Prince. Let's think about a lot of these celebrities who have passed away. Okay? And it is really very touching and sad because guess what? They were the most unique and skilled and talented people of this world. There will never be another Michael Jackson. There will never be another Prince. There will never be another Whitney Houston. These are just an example of so many stars and so many celebrities who have passed away. And we have loved them for many years for their talents. We've loved them for their skills. But there was one thing that I remember hearing someone say about Whitney Houston. One of the last things that she said before she passed away. And you know what she said? She said, people love me for what I do. And I'm sorry that the video is dark right now, but I want you to listen to what I'm saying. She said, people love me for what I do, but they don't love me for who I am. They don't love me for who I am. And it was unfortunate. She used drugs and alcohol as a way to try to fill the void inside of her. She had a void inside of her. Let's be real. She used her gifts, but did she use them for God? Yeah, she may have sang a few gospel songs, but did she use her gifts totally to spread the gospel of Christ, of Jesus Christ? Did she do it for the sake of God? And I'm not being judgmental here, but I'm just speaking truth and facts. And you don't have to agree. And if you don't, that's fine. But I have to tell the truth. Let's talk about Michael Jackson. Okay? He had problems and he was dealing with a lot of problems. And he was taking a lot of drugs. And he wasn't getting enough sleep. And it seemed like it was just never enough. It was just never enough. He worked. He worked very hard. He worked. But he also had a lot of things dealing with his childhood that he never healed from. Think about it, y'all. Things from his childhood he never healed from. Okay? And those things were still eating him up. And yet he was relying on the drugs. But guess what? It wasn't enough drugs to satisfy that void. It wasn't enough drugs to even help him sleep at night. He didn't have peace. He didn't have peace in his heart. But yet, people loved what he did. But did they love who he was? At the end of the day, we want people to love who we are. Prince, one of the best performers ever, can sing every octave. Very talented in his music. Very talented. Can play every instrument. There will never be another Prince ever. But we enjoyed what he did. But even in his music, he talked about his life. Even in his music, he dealt with demons inside. He dealt with things of his life that was very haunting, that was troubling. And of course, he tapped into drugs. So there was some voids. So in our life, we're going to have voids. But guess what? If you don't have God in your life, you will have voids. If you don't have God in your life, there will be some voids. And God is the only one who can meet the void, can fill the void. But God gives you purpose. And what I said, and I mentioned all of the celebrities and Prince and Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston. I mentioned them because guess what? They did use their purpose. They did use their purpose. But did they use it for God? Did they glorify God with their gifts? So my point is, you have to know who you are in Christ. And when you become a believer of Christ and a follower of Christ and allow God to be the center of your life, allow Jesus to come in, allow him to take control, surrender yourself, be obedient in prayer, do everything that's righteous and holy unto God. It is not hard. We make it so hard. It is not hard. It is just an act of discipline. It is just a way you have to change the lifestyle, because when you are a believer of Christ, when you have a personal relationship with Christ, you are no longer the same person you used to be. You are new. You are a new creature. You are new in Christ. You are new in Christ. And God will fulfill every need. And God, he supplies all of thy needs. So all we have to do is just do and work in the presence and not of the past. We have to live in the presence and not of the past. So leave the past right where it is and start in the moment right now and start to surrender to God and give him your all, because that is where your healing is. All of that stuff that I mentioned to you, all of the baggage that I mentioned to you earlier that I suffered from as a child, as a teenager, and going into my adult years, it caused more problems in my marriage. It caused problems in relationships. It caused problems because I wasn't healed. I came from a broken heart, from a broken, contrite spirit. I was battling with a lot of things I was trying to cope with, and I didn't know how to cope with it. And I was too ashamed to express it and to talk about it, because I knew that no one could help me with that. But I knew that only God could help me with those problems. And in my book, it will reveal how he helped me with those problems, how he helped me. And if he could do it for me, he can do it for you. He can do it for you. And I'm going to let you know something. Marriage is not going to make you happy. Marriage is not going to fill the void. If you are a single woman or a single man, I'm going to let you know something. Marriage does not fill the void. I've been married nearly 20 years, and I'm going to let you know it does not fill the void. Okay? Let's get that straight right now. What marriage does, marriage is an accessory. It is not a necessity. It is not necessary. It's not a requirement to make you who you are purposed to be. Marriage does not give you the validation of who God purposed you to be. Marriage should enhance what God has purposed you to be. It should be an enhancement, not a necessity. So those of you out there who is solely trying to find a mate right now, I would recommend that you wait on God, because God can only give you exactly who is matched for you. You do not want to sit up here and marry somebody who seem like they have everything, okay, who can provide or make you feel like you happy for a little while, and then later on in life you find out what a mess, okay? What a mess this has been. And I'm gonna be honest, we are all not perfect. We're not all perfect, but you're gonna find some things that are imperfect in somebody that you may not be able to tolerate. So marriage is pretty much about that fault in that person that you're willing to tolerate, because marriage is not perfect, and neither are any of us. None of us are perfect. But since my video is dark right now and you can't see me, I'm going to conclude, and I'm going to continue this video on the next one. So please be tuned. I do apologize that it's kind of dark, very dark. And but please share if you like this video. Please subscribe to my video. We're going to talk more about these subjects on relationships, on love, on marriage. I'm going to talk about a lot of relationships, but right now my main subject is knowing who you are in Christ. Knowing who you are, and that is so important in this day and age, because so many people are lost, so many people are broken, and they do not know who they are. You have to know who you are in order to live in this life. I'm not talking about surviving. I'm talking about living. All right, be blessed. I'll talk to you on the next video. Please keep the video in tune, because I really would like for you to share this video with someone who you think that might need it. God bless you, and have a wonderful day.